When my fiancée sat me down that evening, I thought she was going to talk about our wedding plans, maybe the guest list or the catering. Instead, she looked at me with a strange mix of guilt and softness and said, "I love you, but before marriage, I need to get closure with my ex." The words hit me like a slap. I couldn't understand how, after months of planning and promising, she still carried him in her heart. I asked her calmly what she meant. She said she wanted to meet him one last time, talk things through, and finally end it. She insisted it wasn't about rekindling anything, only about making peace with her past. I nodded, pretending to understand, but deep inside, my trust in her cracked. What kind of closure needs private meetings and long talks right before marriage? The following week, she grew distant. She was always on her phone, smiling at texts she wouldn't let me see. She said she was just finalizing the closure conversation with him. My heart burned with suspicion, but I kept quiet. I wanted to see how far she would go. Love was still in me, but so was anger building like fire in my chest. One night, she told me she was meeting her ex at a cafe. I acted supportive, kissed her forehead and said, "Do what you need to do." But I followed her. I sat 2 tables away, hidden in the corner, watching them. They weren't just talking. Their eyes lingered, her laugh came too easily, and when his hand brushed hers, she didn't pull away. Closure. It looked more like rekindling. I felt my fists clench, but I didn't storm in. Revenge doesn't work in anger, it works in silence and patience. I walked out of that cafe with my plan already forming. If she wanted closure, I'd give her the kind she would never forget. For the next few days, I acted normal. I was sweet, attentive, even excited about the wedding. She thought everything was fine. She didn't know that I was quietly making calls, first to the wedding planner, then to the venue, then to a lawyer. Step by step, I was building a future without her, and she had no idea. Meanwhile, I also got in touch with her ex. I sent him screenshots of their cafe meeting, a few words like, "She told me it was just closure, funny, right?" He replied almost instantly, clearly shocked that she hadn't told me the whole truth. I let him stew in the awkwardness, planting doubts in his mind about her sincerity. The wedding day was only 3 weeks away. Invitations had been sent, families were preparing, and she was glowing with excitement. But I was calm, waiting for the right moment to shatter her illusion. She thought she had both of us fooled, me as her future husband, him as the nostalgic ex. But she didn't realize I was 2 steps ahead. 1 week before the wedding, I arranged a dinner with both families present. She thought it was a pre-wedding celebration. She dressed up beautifully, holding my arm as if nothing in the world was wrong. Everyone was laughing, eating, drinking, until I tapped my glass and said I had something to announce. I looked directly at her and said, "This wedding will not happen." Gasps filled the room. Her face went pale. Before she could speak, I pulled out printed screenshots of her messages with her ex, the pictures of them together at the cafe, and I placed them on the table. The silence was suffocating as both families stared at her. She tried to explain, stuttering about closure and just talking, but her ex, who I had also invited, stood up and said, "You told me you weren't over me." That's not closure. Her parents looked at her with shame, mine with anger. She broke down crying, but it was too late. I calmly stood, placed the engagement ring on the table, and said, "You needed closure? Here it is. We are finished." Then I walked out, leaving her surrounded by the wreckage of her own lies. In the days that followed, her calls and messages flooded my phone. She begged, pleaded, even showed up at my door. But I never opened it. My silence was the sweetest revenge. She lost not only me, but also her respect in front of everyone who mattered. Word spread quickly. Friends and family distanced themselves from her, and even her ex cut ties after realizing she was playing both sides. Meanwhile, I moved on with dignity intact, free from the shadow of her betrayal. My revenge wasn't shouting or violence, it was truth, revealed at the perfect moment. And nothing hurt her more than losing everything she thought she had under control. That was the closure she truly deserved.